just to pick up on what James said there, he used the word perfect when it comes to Manchester City, and how now when we talk about Arsenal, we know the jokes will probably be going around and people calling them bottlers and bottling it, but I think it's fair to say that they really came up on the blueprint of what has been the envy of all squads, teams and manager. I think not just for football in England, but I think around the world. Is it just that City is the perfect team at the moment that they make it almost impossible for anyone else to compete with them?
Yeah, and like we've been asking this, did they bottle it or not? But I mean, if you look at historically, I mean, in many of the seasons that Manchester City has won the title, they actually haven't led during the season, haven't been on top.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're notorious for not being at the top and just finding the form and going on runs in the second part of the season. So that's why I don't think I ever worried, and I don't think you can say that, because you knew that that this sort of period for Arsenal was going to come, and City do this all the time. So yeah. I don't understand the nervousness and any of that. That's why I mean, when it's happening in the back of your head, you says, well, maybe Arsenal can, maybe this is the season that City won't. But there came a time in the beginning of this last run where you just say, you look at Manchester City, you see everybody's healthy. They're winning game after game. They're perfect just about in the Champions League. And you look at this Arsenal side, who even if they have everybody available, we're always going to lose points. And Manchester City was always going to find a way to win it. So I don't understand it. I still think it's a good season. Yes, it's a sour taste because in the end they ran out of steam. And frankly, quality. They just did. Even when they were on a great run, some of the players on that team, the starting 11, were playing over the top. So, they were hitting their ceiling. That's why I do think that if there's ever a positive of losing this game in particular, because of all the changes, is that Mikel Arteta found out even more about the players you have. He now understands even better how big of a task this is going to be to kind of get this team. I don't even want to say to a level of Manchester City, because that's going to be impossible in one window. But just thinking ahead and watching what may happen. How will Chelsea change with a good team and a new manager? How is Liverpool's great run in the end and what they may do? So the task gotten bigger, and I think it's an absolute craziness to think that, I mean, as I said, had City had a better start to the season, we're not even having this conversation, because they would have been out of sight. And Arsenal, we would have seen that from Arsenal much earlier. So I think it's Arsenal fans, any logical Arsenal fan would understand that, my goodness, they pay money, go to church every day if they knew they were going to finish second at the end of the season.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well, when you think of times where people were ready to sack off Mikel Arteta, and now you look at exactly the run that he's had, the understanding that he's had with the players, how so many of them have come into their own, especially the young ones too. And I suppose the next question for Arsenal would be, how do they pick up where they've left off now? Because like you said, it's unfair right now, given City's resources and the squad they already have, and to think that this summer they're still going to look to strengthen in some sort of way. It's almost unrealistic for everyone else to try and get to that level, at least over the summer. But Arsenal surely will want to capitalize on this. Mikel Arteta will, in terms of how you see him shaping this team so that they can probably give it a better, deeper run. Who do you see going? Who do you see? What do they need resource-wise? What do you see coming?
The worst part about this is that, when you really, truly think about it, I mean, we just found out that Arsenal are a very average team that overachieved. I mean, when I say very average, I don't mean it, average means 10 play. I don't mean that, but I just think that he saw that the task is going to be bigger. So the first thing is dose of reality. I mean, as a manager, you're not going to say, hey, listen, it's going to be hard. We're going to be fighting for top four. You want to fight for the title. But I just think he's recognized. I suspect, of course, he knew that before, but I truly believe that he made some of those changes today to see what players can do in those different positions, perhaps positions that they enjoy playing. And again, I'll mention Ben White, Kivior, and all that. So So I think he's realized that he's going to need a lot of help. But I think the targets don't change, because a good center half, and we're hearing, and we've been talking on our show about Declan Rice for months. I mean, if he does come in, or somebody of that ilk, I think that's a massive positive. There's going to have to be another center back, unless he does believe, and he's going to put money in Ben White, because he's going to get a proper right back, because they absolutely need it. And Ben White's got a lot of experience, right? So I think if given, if he gets the message that, look, I'm looking at you as a center back next season, occasionally a right back, that could change, although you have to rebuild that partnership. Saliba's going to be there. I still think that I said it last time I spoke with you, or maybe yesterday on the show. Absolutely a very good, experienced number 9, no questions about it. And even Gabriel Jesus before the injury, I felt that way. And pieces on the bench for sure. Obviously, I almost think that they need to be shrewd and bring in 3 or 4 players aside of the players that I've mentioned, that you feel confident when you have to rotate. So it's a big task, but as I said before, you're not going to change Arsenal to fight Manchester City again next season in one window. It's just not going to happen.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.